Hello everybody and welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Ben from What Culture
And I'm Scott from What Culture.
And we're here to talk about Sonic Mania?
I'm doing a lot of woos.
Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania.
Scott really likes Sonic Mania. If you've been looking around at the internet in terms of reviews for Sonic Mania, you may have seen that actually it's going down very well and lots of people are enjoying it.
Hells yes, they are.
If you saw our first impressions video, you'd know that Scott was already enjoying it, but now it's time to properly review it. Scott, what score are you giving Scott's Mania?
5 stars, my friend.
Oh my god!
It was always going to be a 5. It's just, you can tell from the beginning that it's a 5-star product, and the second you jump into it, you can tell. I mean, the background of this game is that Sega basically, after having apologized for the state of Sonic over the years, went to their fan community and, came across Christian Whitehead, who's a guy who's been making fan-modded Sonic games for ages, and basically just felt like they said, we don't know what we're doing, just here you go. Just take it, just do the thing that we can't do. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And he has done. Sonic Mania is this like lush, like kind of reimagining almost of the original trilogy, with the best levels from the original trilogy, plus like some new zones and like altered paths, like new ways to play those original levels, all blended together, plus like a multiplayer mode and all that kind of stuff. And it's just great. It has so much heart. Like it's just, if you grew up playing Sonic, and like I think you played like a little bit of it.
I played a little bit. I wasn't really a big Sonic guy.
Right.
Yeah.
For someone like me who like remembers having like Sonic pencil cases and hoodies and like Sonic cakes for their 5th birthday, whatever, like it's just, there's something about like, this is the thing. And it's taken them like 20 whatever it is years to get there, 23 years kind of thing, since like Sonic and Knuckles. But the heart is like so prevalent in it. I mean, we can break down the categories and stuff, but there's such a feeling of passion here that like fans have been waiting for so long. And it comes across in everything from the Easter eggs to the animation, all the callbacks, like. We'll get there, but like, oh my god,
right.
It's great.
First up, if we can try and assemble your thoughts into something coherent.
Go on.
I know that it's not going to be particularly strong here, but let's go and talk about the narrative.
Funnily enough, the narrative, there's more narrative in Sonic Mania than there is in Agents of Mayhem. But we'll get to that.
Right.
But yeah, so the narrative is a reworked version of the intro from Sonic 3. So it's Sonic and Tails flying in on their plane, but instead of Knuckles stealing the Chaos Emeralds, it's Robotnik or Eggman stealing these time stones or the Chaos Emeralds. They sort of go back and forth as to what exactly they are. Point being, he nicks a time crystal, and that throws the whole Sonic world out of whack, which means that you land in all the different zones. It's their excuse to let you do whatever you want to do.
Okay, play all over the place.
Yeah, and then that also factors into letting all sorts of cameos and like references and boss battles and things from the whole Sonic lore come in.
Yeah.
Like there's I'm not going to give away what it is, but there's a certain set of characters that have been featured in the comics that pop up. They're actually from a few years back, but they'll be known to younger Sonic fans as being from the comics. They pop up, which is just like, it's insane, the amount of things they've got in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of a base narrative, you're Sonic out of time and you're getting dropped into a bunch of different stuff.
Awesome.
And it works perfectly.
Wonderful. Gameplay. Now, I think this is where the meat of the review is going to be. What's going on here?
Well, so everyone knows how Sonic plays. Everyone always associates the speed of Sonic with something like the Green Hill Zone. Obviously, that's the most iconic because it's the first level. And I think over the years, Sonic's kind of struggled to sort of, get past that version of people that, like, the way people see him. Everyone's always like, oh, you're trying to go fast, but you get stuck on platforming levels, and oh my god, why can't I just run as fast as possible?
Yeah.
And he's always been sold on speed, but a lot of the varying Sonic games have had trouble with trying to maintain that speed, but also have some sort of variation so that you're not just pegging it at full speed the whole time.
Yeah.
Christian Whitehead and his team at Headcanon have made literally some of the best platforming levels I've ever played, and I've played a lot of platforming levels.
Right.
But they've managed to build this game where you're constantly on the move, and you're constantly up and down. Like, the levels have a lot of verticality to them, and they're packed with different ways to play them and secrets to find, and different zones to beam into, kind of thing, different bonus stages. But yeah, you've got your basic Sonic gameplay, the way that people remember it, the way that people talk about Sonic, being fast as hell and being so immediate and just faithful to the way that first game, the original trilogy played. It's everything that you remember about Sonic, but touched up in really nice little ways. Like, he's got extra little animations for the way that he jumps and the way that he moves. He runs a bit differently when he's at full speed. And he's got a drop dash now, which is the first new move that Sonic's had in terms of his 2D output for a while. Which means you can rev up his super spin in midair and then land and just ping off, cool. Which just keeps the pace going. There's a little bit of everything. So I mean, chances are if you remember playing Sonic, it's this game that you remember. Even though if you go back to those original trilogy, there's some difficulty spikes and things that get in the way. This is like pure Sonic. which I adore. And another thing they've added is on Sonic CD, there was this thing called the UFO catcher, which is like you would go into like a bonus level and it would be 3D because it's Sonic 3D, and you would just chase after this like UFO that was floating around, and the draw distance is terrible.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, it's like primitive late 90s 3D. That's in here, but it's been refined as well. Like it's way more playable than it ever was back then. I've seen some people online complaining that it's a little bit out of place compared to the pace of like the main game.
Yeah.
To me, it didn't bother me at all because I find it completely endearing, and it's just kind of fun to see like retro 3D in 2017, which is just kind of cool. That stuff's great. Another thing that's really worth pointing out is the sheer inventiveness of the boss battles.
Right.
Some of them, I don't know if I would class this as a spoiler, because I kind of want to sell it to you anyway. So, have you heard of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine?
No, I haven't.
So, Mean Bean Machine was Sega's version of Puyo Puyo back in like 93 or 94, which is just, Connect 4 kind of thing. That is one of the boss battles in here.
Right.
And you just fall into it, and it's just like you just fall in, you've got your controls, Robotnik's right there, and you just play a Mean Bean Machine against him. It's brilliant.
That's amazing.
That's great. I'll not spoil the rest of them, but that's just a hint of how.
Okay, so there's loads of stuff like that.
There's some phenomenal things.
If you were playing games and grew up playing games at this time, you're going to have a. Really
if 1993 was your year, if you were sentient back then, you'll remember like a whole bunch of stuff, because 1993 is pretty much the one year when Sonic was on top of the world. It was like after Sonic 1 and 2, and you had like all of these different like cultural touchstones to pull from, and that's what I think Christian Whitehead's tapped into. But yeah, the boss battles are phenomenal. You get one at the end of each act now instead of end of each 2 acts, which goes into another thing. The levels themselves just transition. They don't actually once you hit the end and you hit the big spinny thing,
you just go straight
to the next level, which is a very small thing, but it just keeps the pace up. It just means you can just drink the thing in. It's like, give me more Sonic, and they're happy to give you more Sonic.
Another big thing, obviously, that will be a huge aspect of this game for a lot of people, given that it's a return to 2D form.
Yes.
Presentation.
Yeah, so there's actually a whole bunch of options, visual options in the menu where you can flick it back to look like the CRT version, like if you want to look old school.
Right.
I like my pixels crisp and refined, so I don't have any of that stuff on. But if you want to be retro and old school, you can be. But yeah, it has this really gorgeous, like obviously it's the pixel aesthetic, but it's done up in HD, it's in widescreen. Same as those like Android ports, mobile ports that came out a few months back. That initially showed what Christian and his team can do.
Yeah.
It was like take the old school and make it feel fresh and new. And yeah, in terms of the presentation, frame rate is obviously extremely solid. And when you're like flying faster than the speed of light, it just feels great. Yeah. Like that's the reason people fell in love with Sonic was, holy I'm going so fast. And like, yeah, you are going extremely fast and it feels great. They managed to make that feeling kind of come across as something that you're in control of. And sometimes that works against the game, as it always has in Sonic, where you might run straight into a spike pit or whatever. But obviously those games are meant to be replayed and you learn them and you get used to being Sonic and just flying through these levels at a million mile an hour.
Yeah.
The presentation is gorgeous. Like it's just comes through in like the character designs of the levels themselves. The new zones are phenomenal.
Yeah. Like
the Studiopolis is the first one you'll come across, and that one is just loaded with like Easter eggs and references, and like there's a Daytona reference in there, and like the Daytona voice from 1993 is the multiplayer voice that goes like 3, 2, 1. Like that stuff's in there. Yeah, the presentation is sumptuous. Music, me and Jules talked about this in the first impressions thing. The soundtrack is gorgeous. Have you had a chance to listen to any of it? This is me rambling.
No, not the soundtrack.
Because they rescored all the stuff. They touched everything up. You've obviously got all the iconic themes in there. But the general soundtrack itself kind of owes like a little bit to like more modern electro, like modern synthwavey kind of stuff in some of the levels. Robotnik's new theme is brilliant. It's this kind of like bumbling, bouncy kind of theme that like every time that kicks in, you're like, oh, this is great. Like I just love fighting him.
Yeah.
And that stuff's great.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of good things.
Just thoroughly enjoyed yourself.
I'm just buzzing because like we've had Crash this year, we've had Tekken 7, and now Sonic's back as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a year in 2017 where we're talking about games from the 90s again, which is really good to see. But yeah, the main takeaway from this is just that the game's heart is entirely in the right place.
Right.
It's very cheap. It was only £15 on the UK store.
Yeah.
And just everything that you loved about Sonic and the way people talk about Sonic is encapsulated in this game. You've got none of the fluff, none of the like forced redirections, none of the werehog and Shadow the Hedgehog with his twin pistols and none of that. Just old school Sonic, Sonic Knuckles and Tails, Metal Sonic's in there, maybe Hyper Sonic's in there. everything that you love about Sonic is in there, and I just had an absolute blast with it.
Well, there we go. 5 stars. 5 stars.
5 whole shiny stars.
On What Culture Gaming. Let us know how you're enjoying Sonic Mania. Are you playing it? Are you thinking of picking it up? Has Scott's enthusiasm influenced you in any way? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Ben from What Culture.
And I've been Scott from What Culture.
And thank you for watching.